In Windows, it just saves it. You don't have to hit save.
Mac, you do. Oh,
Yeah.
what happened there? Come on, it resized it again. Jeez, Mac is a little weird with these things. Okay, let me just resize you and put you back. Okay, everyone, sorry about that. We are here. Finally. Okay, good. Hope everybody's doing well. Thanks for joining. We just wanted to get back together. We got 30 people. This is great. I hope the audio's working for everybody. Let me go to the bottom of the chat here and just see. Make sure we got everything going. And we just wanted to, last time me and Johnny got together, we had a lot of people turn out. I think we had 50 people or 48
Yeah, we
people.
did.
Something
Yeah.
like something crazy like that. And we said, wow, this is great. We should do this again. So here we are doing it again. So we're back. We're here to just answer questions and chat and see what everybody's up to. Just to let everybody know that if you weren't around for last week or I don't know what day it was. Last weekend. I forget what day it is because we're all locked in the house. I forget what day it is. But I finished up the live mixing series volume 7 and is now available for you guys to download. If you were on the email list, you would have gotten an email that I'm selling it this week for $14. So that's less than half of what they normally sell for. So if you want it, go pick it up, go check it out. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time working on that one. And so I hope you guys will check that out. Also make sure that this weekend is the last weekend for the, stuck home in my studio sale. That ends this weekend. So you've been getting emails every couple of days. Go out and get all the training you want to get it at rock bottom prices because I can't do that another week. Okay. So let you know. And then hopefully by this weekend or beginning of next week, we are going to start a live mixing series volume 8, and we're going to do a live recording by the fabulous group Fat Hat, which is Rick Nofke's group from PreSonus. He sent me some multi-track files and said that we're more than welcome to use them. So they did a live performance concert, and I have his whole set. You all right over there?
No, I'm still sick as a budgie.
So he sent me the whole set, and I'm gonna go through and see what song might be appropriate. And they do everything from instrumentals, a lot of cover tunes. I think there's even a couple of originals in that set, but I have like a 2-hour show, and so I'm gonna cut it up, find a tune or two that I think will be fun to work on, and then we're gonna work on that, and that'll be quite a bit different in that we'll use things like drum samples, and we'll go through a lot of the techniques and such to work with a live recording, like a concert, so to speak. Which is much different, right, Johnny, than working on a studio recording. A lot of different tools we'll use. Some things we're going to just have to, make decisions and make compromises because we're not going to be able to fix all the things. We're not going to be able to fix the lead singer who's dancing around the stage and the microphone's here and it's here and it's here and it's here. And they're not on mic the whole time. And we're not going to be able to fix all the bleed that comes into the guitar amp microphones. Although I think Rick uses an Axe-Fx or a Kemper, so he probably has a DI track. But, if there's not DIs, you're going to hear all the mic bleed, all the stage rumble. Some of the tracks will sound absolutely horrible, and we're going to have to try to fix them. And that's just the way live mixing works. So that'll be a lot of fun. So that'll start, if not this weekend, early next week. So let's see who is in the chat. We have 34 people here. We have Randall's, we'll go to the top. We have David S.J. Hey, David, what's up? Rock is here. Hey, Rock, what's going on? Edna's here. Great. Hello, Richard's here. Michael's here. Fred's here. Jim is here. Tony's here. What's going on? Victor's here. Hey, Victor. Mel is here. Hey, Mel from Switzerland. How are you? Alistair's here. McKiddo's here. HS Gator 7 is here. Philip is here. Wow, we got a lot of you people here. If you guys have any questions at all, anything you guys want to chat about, we figure we get on here, do a Q&A, talk about gear and plugins and computers or whatever you guys want to talk about. We're here to do it. Tony's here. PM Barrett is here. Great. Thank you so much to everyone who's here. Richard's here. Great. Randall. So Randall already. Okay, you guys are all. Ken is here. Hey, Ken, how you doing? And we will get to all of your questions. And HS Gator, I said, is here as well. So that's what's going on. What's going on with you, Johnny? What's going on in your studio? What training and stuff do you have coming up for these people to take advantage of?
Hang on just a second. I need to put my phone on silent so you don't hear it go pating.
We like to pating.
Or it does worse. It does more than pating. It depends who is messaging me. Most of the time it goes pating and occasionally it does a cockerel sound,
Uh-huh.
and occasionally it does a cow sound.
Nice. Gotta
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, and I've got this great. I sampled from a soundboard an old 1920s car horn. You know,
Oh,
the one that goes.
yeah,
That
yeah.
one.
The quack of the duck.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So I got one of those as well,
Cool.
which is great. So so what's going on with me? I've been working flat out this week. It's been crazy. It's gonna be crazy for the foreseeable future, especially with COVID-19 and all of that business.
Yeah. Yep.
You
Yep.
know, that's kind of keeping everybody working at home, which means that, you know, certain things can't be done as easily or as efficiently as we would like,
Sure.
you
Sure.
know, and you know, the whole world is kind of economically grinding to a halt, fortunately, mostly at the same kind of time. Um, so hopefully it won't be too destabilizing for people. And governments are actually, certainly our government are beginning to think about, we might need to make things financially a bit easier for people.
Mm.
So, you know, so there are grants and there are loan holidays and mortgage holidays, and credit card companies are saying, yeah, we're going to pause everything as well. And, you know, as soon as this crisis is over, we'll figure out a way to gradually get things going again.
Right.
And it just means that people aren't suddenly going to go, hey, I'm not earning any money. I might lose my house
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. And it's just, and it's it's not anybody's fault. So,
Right.
you know, there's a lot of fear out there, particularly those that are renting. We're renting, for example. So there's a lot of fear out there about, you know, will we lose our house if we can't pay the rent and that kind of thing. And you know, the government has said, hey, we will step in on your behalf and we'll issue you protections. And most landlords are voluntarily saying, don't worry about rent.
Right.
Once this whole thing is over, we can resume that. But for now, forget about it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel it sounds like it's very similar to what's going on here in the United States. The government's stepping in, and there's all kinds of programs, and you know, people that are out of work. Stay close to the news. You know, it's changing every hour, it seems like, but I watch it very closely. Stay close to the news so you know what you need to do to try to qualify for things. Whether if you're a small business owner, especially, there's lots
Yep.
of apparently lots of. Well, I know it's already been done because we've already. My father's business, we've already applied, so I already know the process is in place. Now, how long it takes to get the money is a whole nother question, but
Yeah.
but small businesses will have the ability, small businesses meaning anybody under 500 employees or less, will have the ability to get grant money, which, you know, grants for people that don't know means you don't have to pay it back. It's tax free.
Yep.
And they're going to cover payroll, essential utilities, and your mortgage or rent as a business. So that's very helpful.
Yep.
So, and then, you know, regular folks are getting checks, I guess. They're getting unemployment benefits have been extended and the amount of money has been raised. So I think, you know, same kind of thing, you know, they're trying to make sure that, because this will pass. I mean, it will. Everyone that's sequestered, it will pass. And when it does, you got to have jobs to go back to. You can't have all your
Yeah.
companies go out of business and people can't be living on the street because they all lost their homes. That doesn't help anyone.
No.
And so, you know, I mean, in the big scheme of things, at least it's not good, but I guess it's good that help is on the way. So that's good. And if you were just stranded, that would be a problem. But it doesn't seem to be that, and that's good. So all we can do is just, you know, hunker down and stay, you know, what do they call it? Social distancing is what they're calling it. And just stay at home. And that's pretty much what we're doing. So for us business people, my life really doesn't change all that much. The difference being is that my wife and my daughter are here all day. So I'm not working 12 hours a day because I have to do homeschooling and do some other things. But I don't really leave the house much anyway. You know what I mean? I'm working.
Yeah.
But what I am able to do, and what we've encouraged a lot of people that are watching and people that are in their studios, this is a great time to get caught up in your studio, whether you're, you know, you've been putting off working on that EP you're recording, or you have projects you need to mix, or if you're in the process of or thinking of building or ramping your studio into a home studio business where you're trying to maybe eventually, make some extra money or have another income, which, hey, in times like these, it's nice to have two sets of income.
Yeah,
This is the time to do all that stuff. I mean, because there is a lot of work in getting all that stuff ramped up. And if you have time, now's the time. Now's the
exactly.
time for sure. So hopefully everyone is taking advantage of that, or trying to at least. I know a lot of people have picked up a lot of training courses over the last couple of weeks, which are great. I think I've done more private one-on-one Skype sessions in the last 2 weeks than I've done in the last 6 months prior. I'm doing Saturday. I did 3 in one day, which is not common for me. So a lot of people have time and they want to get training, or they need to get caught up. And so, it's okay. It's, in that respect, it's good. I'm glad I'm able to help people. So that's an okay thing. Yeah. And I've been working on getting, I'm started recording videos for the live streaming thing that I've been talking about. I'm calling it more, it's not going to be a course. It's all going to be on YouTube. It's called, what am I calling? Something to the effect of, live streaming for the working musician. With all the musicians that are home today that can't gig, that want to perform and get their stuff online. Well, what's involved in doing that, especially if you're a band and you're more than just one person sitting in a room strumming a guitar?
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into that. So
Yeah.
I've filmed 3 videos for that today, mostly around Ableton Live, and showing how I'm using Ableton Live to run backing tracks, and then also showing how I have my new this new lighting software that I have called Light Key, which allows me to, in Ableton, with MIDI, control lighting software to automate your lighting with your music, which is really nice, which is interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah, which I've never done before. So I'm learning how to program. I'm taking courses too. I just spent $110 on 2 Ableton Live training courses that are specific for a lot of guys, a lot of professional drummers, I find, because it seems like when you play live bands, the drummers typically run the backing tracks and stuff. Yeah. So there's a few professional drummers in Nashville that do this. This is what they do. They go out and they tour with a bunch of different artists, and they're responsible for the tracks, setting them up, getting everything set up, and how it's applied in a live setting. And so they have courses. So just like you guys that are buying my courses, I'm taking the same thing you're doing. I'm going out and I bought a course, 2 courses, on how to use Ableton in a band situation, not as a recording DAW, but as more of a backing tracks thing with the lighting and all that stuff and the automation and stuff. And so I've learned a lot. So I started to film some of that stuff so I can have it available for you guys that want to check that out on YouTube. If you're interested in doing something like that, I'll have at least some information on how to do it. So that's what I've been working on, working on Ableton sessions, backing tracks, lighting cues, getting all that done. I hope to have the lighting cues done by next week. And then I can start actually hooking up all the actual hardware for the live streaming piece with the multiple cameras, and then eventually have a whole walkthrough on how all this stuff works. So that's what I've been working on.
That's awesome, man. That's really
it's a
cool.
lot of work, but it's fun. I'm learning a lot. I'm learning an incredible amount about about that. And it's not that hard. It's just, if you don't know it, there's a lot to it. I don't know anything about Ableton Live, nothing. Now I'm starting to understand it, and it's fun. I enjoy it. It's different, so it's cool. So
yeah, I've got Ableton Live as well. I got Ableton Live 10 Suite.
Oh, I have that's the highest version, right?
Yeah, I got that maybe a couple of months ago.
Yeah, I got the standard, the one in the middle there. I don't, because I guess the suite has a bunch of stuff that I'm probably never going to use, but I guess I can upgrade it if I had to. But it's I see a lot.
It's got a bunch of loops and plugins.
Oh yeah, because a lot of I see a lot of like DJs and EDM, and I use Ableton a lot. It's hard to find on YouTube. Honestly, it's hard to find. Bands, like organic people play real instruments in like a band setting, that have instruction on how to do it. I did find, if anyone's looking for information, where I find the most amount of training on it is in the worship, like the worship church thing.
Yep.
They tend to have some training on it. It's geared more towards the worship thing, but
It's applicable.
It's
yeah.
very, much more so than a DJ, where at least there's real musicians on stage, and they use the tracks to supplement their instrumentation,
Yep.
and they use lighting, and they also use things like visual projection and lyrics for songs and stuff, and all of that is done in Ableton, which just blows me away that thing can do all of that, but it does. I mean, it's pretty wild. So that's why I've been watching
it does. My church used Pro Presenter for the longest time, and now everything is all Ableton, and it works phenomenally. It's so powerful.
Yep.
And it does things that I've never seen another DAW touch.
Right.
But on the other hand, I think the way it handles audio and mixing is a little bit clunky.
Yeah, I couldn't see myself using that for a mixing DAW personally.
No, likewise. I mean, for sequencing stuff maybe, and I work occasionally with a friend of mine who I've known for nearly 30 years. He's a drum and bass artist. He's a bass player, cellist, and he does drum and bass records. That's what he does, and I get to play on his records. I play some Fender Rhodes, or I'll play. I'll get my alto sax out and do some sax samples for him sometimes. And so he does a lot of what he does in Ableton. So he sends me the Ableton session file, and I'll stick my Rhodes in Studio One because I prefer to record in Studio One.
Mm-hmm.
And the same with my sax samples, and then I'll just export them out into Ableton, the Ableton session, and send them back.
Ah, got it.
Yeah, works really well.
Nice.
Especially after Gregor showed me how you can just literally drag and drop the audio file from one program to the other with both of them open.
Yeah, it is pretty wild. See, I want to have any questions here. Let's see. Woodbeast Productions. Hey, Woodbeast, what's up? Said, Dave, yes, I'm working on a live streaming for jamming. Oh, cool. Well, good. Hopefully some of my information could help you, or maybe you'll be able to help me. That'd be great. Philip says, question, your thoughts on putting reverb and delay on a mono track, which is panned left, reverb delay, also mono. What are my thoughts about it? I don't know. I don't really do that. I mean, if that's, I would do it and listen to it and see how it sounds. Typically, when I use reverbs and delays, they're stereo and they're on a send. That's just how I do it. But you don't have to do it that way. But the way you're describing it isn't something that I typically do. So I would just say, if it sounds good to you when you do it, and it captures the thing that you're trying to go for, then do it. It's not wrong. I don't do it that way.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I wouldn't do it that way either. The only time I think I might think about doing that is if I want the reverb panned the opposite to the guitar.
Oh,
which
right.
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I want the guitar on the left and the delay of that guitar on the right. I've done that before.
Okay, there you go. And that would be a reason to do it that way, right?
Yeah. But I don't do that very often. It's if I want a particular, because sometimes, I mean, you could do it with a stereo delay and have a multi-tap ping pong effect.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you don't want that because you only want the delay in one side. You don't want the delay to repeat on the same side as the guitar.
Right.
So particularly if you've got like quite a long delay, like it's maybe, I don't know, 100 milliseconds, 200 milliseconds, something like that, where you've got a relatively long-ish kind of distance between the original and the delay.
Yeah.
You maybe don't want that to repeat on the same side as your guitar. So that might be where I wouldn't use a stereo effect for that. But I mean, that's the only use case I can think of for that one.
I hear you. PM. Oh, let's missed my thing. Okay. Hangster7 says Ableton is sold for live tracks. I use a Looptimus pedal to trigger it from the floor. Yeah, I've seen the Looptimus pedals. I haven't decided how I'm going to trigger stuff live yet. Maybe it is with a pedal. I'm not really sure. Although you could set up Ableton in one of the arrangement view. you don't have to do anything. It'll play songs consecutively with whatever, you know, if you want it to. But yeah, I've seen that pedal. I just have not gotten that far into all of this yet, but I know I'm going to have to address that at one point. How do you trigger the stuff easily? Probably with a foot switch or some kind of a thing.
Or a drum trigger, something
or
like
a drum
that.
trigger, yeah. PM says, prior to using Studio One, I tried Ableton, but just couldn't get into the workflow of it personally. I may check it out again at some stage. Yeah, it's very different than Studio One. I mean, again, it's a DAW, so it's a recording platform like Studio One or Pro Tools or Cubase or Logic or any of those. But it's really made for live performance tracks. That's really what it's made for. That's the power of it. You could do the same things in Pro Tools and in Studio One, but it's not as user friendly when you want to do some of the things you like. You can automate lights in Studio One or in Pro Tools. You can automate camera switching if you wanted to, but there's a lot more involved, and there's supplement applications and stuff to have to talk to the DAW to do that. Where everything in Ableton's it seems like it's all kind of integrated, which is what I like. And if you were to look, and I did because I didn't know anything about this stuff, search around when they run tracks live, what does everybody use? They all use Ableton Live. There are very few people that don't use Ableton Live for that purpose. So the way I looked at it was there's probably a reason for that. And so that's why I started to get into it. And now that I'm using it for live use, I like it for that purpose, you know, so it seems okay. Let's see. PM says, Dave, the live stuff you're describing sounds cool. Yeah, it's going to be really cool. It's, like I said, I'm going to have a bunch of videos for YouTube. I already did 3 of them, but most of them were around Ableton and Light Key. I did those today. As I was building my sessions, I said, let me turn on the camera and just show what I'm doing. I'm hoping, you know, next week or the week after will be when I show you all the gear and how it all kind of integrates together, in the lighting rig, and how it all kind of comes together with the live streaming stuff that I talked about 2 live streams ago. I forget when it was, where I showed you some of the stuff that I bought for the live streaming, because it's not going to be through this computer, through OBS. It's not going to be done that way, because I'm going to be using 3 cameras. And so I'm going to be running into a wireless hub through a different system, with camera switching and all that. So, well, that's what I'm planning to do. Whether it all actually works when I put it all together is a whole different. Well, we're going to find out. But it should be cool. And then if we ever get past this craziness that's going on, and I can get my 2 partners back in here, we're actually going to perform. We're going to do this on it. Once I get this set up, we're going to do this on a regular basis. I just don't know when it's going to start. Because I have no idea, but we're planning to do, well, it all will depend. Our goal is to maybe do a couple a month. But we'll see what the response is, and if people turn up and if they like it. And if they do, I'll do another one. And if they don't, we won't. You know, it'll really be that simple. So I'm hoping that we could do it on a regular basis. That would be fun for us, and it may be fun for you guys. We'll see. So let's see. All right. Any other questions? Let's see.
I was going to say, are you planning to use Ableton Live to trigger your camera switch as well?
I'm hoping to. Although the live streaming thing that I purchased, which is called Sling Studio, the reason why I bought the Sling Studio setup with the hub is 2 reasons. One, because all the cameras, DSLR and or iPhones or whatever cameras you use, can run completely wireless to the hub, so there's no HDMI wires running all through the studio. And 2, it's the only thing I found that will do automatic camera switching at intervals that you set. Because I'm not always going to, probably almost never, maybe my wife once in a while will come down and do it, but most I'm going to plan that no one's going to be operating the camera switching. So I want it to automatically be done. Now, so Sling Studio will do that. It's one of the features in it. It's one of the reasons why I bought it. But I'm also going to try to, if I can, I'm going to try to get it into Ableton like the lights, so I can do it that way. But because my goal is to have 3 cameras. We may just start with 2, but my goal is to have 3. And I want to be able to have it switch throughout, you know, at the appropriate times, so it just doesn't look like one static camera dead on. So if I can't get Ableton to do it, then I'm going to do it with the Sling Studio, because it has it in there to do it. It has that feature in there. It's one of the reasons why I bought it. So I'm hoping so.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
I'm hoping so. I think it's going to be cool. I mean, it's not going to be what the average person does at home to live stream a performance. It's not, because you could do that with a phone. You can do that. I could just sit here, back up, and with a guitar in my hand and do that. It's not that. This is way more involved than that. This is, to me, almost like putting on a performance for a television station. That's what I'm trying to think of it as. If this was going to go, you know, if I wanted people to see this, like if you were going to go see the artist live, you know, what would it be? You know, that's kind of how I'm thinking of it.
Yeah, music video kind of.
Almost like more high quality, you know, because I'm going to have the great sound come out of the studio live. I got, you know, a great camera with lenses. Well, you can't see it, but I got a truss and all kinds of stage lighting. And, you know, I mean, we got something that's really going to look nice. And so I want it to be nice. I don't want to just make it kind of slap it together, you know? So I enjoy learning about this stuff, and I want to make it as good as I can make it. So, you know, it'll be cool. We'll see. We will see. Let's see. What is the easiest way to gain stage Studio One 4 without plugins like Hornet or manually processing each track separately? I know Jonny does. I have at least 2 gain staging videos on my YouTube channel that you can look at.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Jonny does too. I mean, just search our channels. There's videos on how to do it. You don't need a plugin. You can use a plugin, but you could, but you don't need one. And you don't need to manually process each track separately. You don't need to do any of that. You could, but you don't need to. I mean, it's really quite simple. Check out the videos on our YouTube channels. They're there. Just search gain staging and it's in the title. It'll come up. And after watching those, if you have any questions, you can email Jonny or email myself, and one of us will get back to you, if not both of us.
Yeah, I've got a video on it in my Studio One 4.5 series, which shows the new input controls and how you can do it using the new input controls and the new metering, the pre-fader metering. So a combination of the two. And what I did in that video was I pulled all the faders down to infinity, and so you have no sound, and you gain stage with no sound.
Okay.
And you're basically doing it, you're eyeballing it with the meters, and you're just turning up the input gains. And it just means I can gain stage, you know, a 40, 50 track, 50 channel session in about 40 seconds.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, go watch that video. That'll help you.
So now that we have pre-fader metering, which was such a massive feature request, now that we have that in Studio One, you know, you can, and the input controls, just the combination of those two features on their own just makes gain staging about 5,000 times faster.
Yeah, it does.
Than at any other time that we've ever had it in Studio One.
Yeah, no, you're right. And that was in the upgrade to what, 4.6 or 4.5, one of those?
4.5.
Right. Yep.
4.5.
Rock Chunk says, are you going to check out the UAD's Luna? Yes, I am. As soon as it's available. I don't think it's available yet, but it's coming in the spring, which I guess it's spring. So any day now.
From what I read, they're releasing it early because, you know, we're all under lockdown and they feel kind of...
I'm going to check it out because it's free.
Yeah.
And I have such a large UA rig, I'd be foolish not to check it out. It looks interesting to me. It looks like another DAW. I mean, I guess the difference is what I like, I guess, and again, I don't know, the things that I like about it that are different is one, is it's going to have the Neve analog summing built right into their console software, which I'm really interested in. I'm just interested to see how their workflow works. It looks very intuitive. I mean, it looks nice, but I have no idea how it's going to work. I don't know that. I would assume you can use third-party plugins in it from a mixing platform. I can't imagine that you couldn't, but I don't know that to be true. But it'll just be interesting to see. And they have a couple of new plugins coming out, some new analog plugins coming out with it. One's the Neve. The other one is I don't know if it's a tape machine that's already out that they're just giving to you for free, or if it's a new tape machine. I don't remember, but yeah, I'm going to check it out and I'll do some videos on it. We'll check it out. Why not? I mean, you know, it'll be fun. Is it going to be anything better than what's on the market? I have no idea. No clue. Let's see. Troy says, hey, Troy, figured I'd pass it along. Just got an email from UA is having a 50% off store-wide sale. Some awesome deals right now. Oh, great. So if you're into UA and you're looking for some plugins, they're doing 50% off. That's great. Awesome. What came across your screen there?
That was me.
Oh, cool.
That was me sending you the link to the video I was talking about.
Oh,
because
awesome.
I can't post it in the chat. So.
Oh, cool. Okay, cool. I could put that in the chat. Where the hell's my Skype thing here? Skypey Skype. I just don't want to screw up the live stream.
Yeah.
After all the work.
I'll tell you what, why don't I put it in Facebook if you've got Facebook open?
Yeah, put it in Facebook. You can put it in Facebook.
All right, let's do that.
Cool. Great. But thanks for the info, Troy. Yeah, if you're into UA, go check out the sale. That's great. Woodby says, Dave, yes, has been preaching that. Great stuff from UA. Yep, I love UA. Woodby's Productions. Hey, did my question about drum exchangers show up a few minutes ago? I didn't see it. What do you think about the UVI workstation? How to use it with Studio One? I don't know. What's the UVI workstation? Do you know what that is, Johnny?
No idea.
I have no idea. Is it a new piece of gear or something? I'm not familiar. Woodby says the live stream group performing live. Oh, cool. Whoops. Let's see.
There you go. I posted it in Facebook now.
Okay, cool. Johnny's posting it over in Facebook. Go click on his link. Go check it out.
I put it in Facebook in Messenger.
Oh, you put it in Messenger. Okay.
Yeah, so you just copy and paste it into chat.
Into this. Oh, yeah, what am I doing? Yeah, I got two computers here. Okay, yeah. Let me do that right now. Let me go get in the Messenger, and I will post it. And you guys can go check out the video. Here it is. Let me see. Come on. There we go. All right, so let me just copy this, and I will put it in our live stream chat. Here is the link that you guys can go check out Johnny's video. There it is, and that'll be cool. Let's see. Paul says, someone mentioned that they normalize their tracks. What is the advantage, disadvantage? I don't normalize tracks personally. Johnny, do you do that?
I don't, but there is one thing you can do. And some people use this as a really, like if you're in a pinch and you want to quickly gain stage. Mm-hmm. One thing you can do is there's a macro in the macro toolbar. I think it's either in the global toolbar, or it's in the audio editing. I can't remember which one it is, but there's a macro there called damn it, what's it called? Normalize to -12 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And basically what that does is it takes your selected audio events. When you hit that macro, it automatically gains them down to -12 using the event gain handle. But that's all fired off by a series of macro commands. So you just hit that button and it automatically gain stages those events to a true peak value of -12 dB.
There you go.
That's one useful thing for normalizing. The other thing that some people do is like if they're doing a voiceover and you want to get your audio up to that kind of broadcast near 0 dB broadcast level, and then you want to slam it with a limiter. Mm-hmm. That's what they'll do. They'll normalize it to 0 dB, slam it with a limiter that's knocking off like 10 dB of limiting.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah, and then you can just ship that out, for doing continuity or something like that. I do a few continuity announcements every now and then, and that's kind of what I do. It's a bit down and dirty and quick and easy, but it immediately gets that kind of broadcast sound that you want.
And it works.
And it works.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've not had anybody complain at me yet. I mean, there's always a first, but
Well, there you go. Jim, thank you so much for the super chat. I do appreciate that, my friend. That was very nice of you. Let's see. Let me make sure we have any more questions here. Okay. I'll get it. Okay for workstation, YouTube. Okay. We got. If you want Johnny's YouTube page, just search YouTube. Just search Johnny Lipsham. It comes right up in the search bar. His page will come up for YouTube if you want to know about that. Let's see. Ryan says, Studio One question. Okay, here we go. Hey, Ryan, what's going on? What's the best way to manage all the wave tracks that are saved to the media folder within a song file? All of my takes, even removed from the trash takes, are taking up space. So you want to know what's the best way to manage them? All your takes, even the recorded trash takes, are taking up space. But can't you remove those prior to saving in the pool?
Yes, you can. If you go into the pool tab in the browser, and I think you just right click anywhere in there on when you're looking at your waveforms in the pool. That, by the way, if you don't know this, that's where all your audio is. So when you are cutting and slicing and melodyning and all of that of your audio, and let's say you botch it totally, you completely overdo it, you go completely overboard, and you go, oh no, what am I going to do? I've destroyed this and I can't get the artist in to record the vocal again. I've completely wrecked it. No, you haven't, because editing in Studio One is completely non-destructive. In the pool, you just delete what you've done, go into the pool and drag that audio track in, and it's brand spanking new.
Right, you can start over.
So, and you can start totally over. So the pool is really, really powerful for those kind of things. But if you've got loads and loads of takes, and I've done this actually fairly recently, where I had a guy in playing some alto sax solos, and for a song that I'm working on, and I think we did like 21 takes, and I comped the part that I wanted out of those 21 takes, took a phrase here, a phrase there, and then once I was happy with that, I rendered that. And then all of those other takes that are still in the pool, if you go in the pool and you right click, and then you can just choose remove unused media or unused.
Right, unused files or something like that, and it'll get rid of them. That's the way you do it. At least that's the way I would do it.
Yep.
So there you go. Hopefully that helps. Let's see. Someone asked about, make sure I didn't miss the question. Okay, David. David, Johnny, have you ever used the drum exchanger from Plugin Alliance? A comparison of with the Slate exchanger might be a good one. No, I've never used it, and I don't even know what it is. And what's the Slate exchanger? What is that?
That's a good question. I don't even know what that is.
I've never even heard of the Slate exchanger, so I'm not sure if I know what that is. So maybe you're teaching us something new. That would be great. Let's see. Griffin Guitar. Hey, Griffin, what's up? I'm a guitarist new to DAW recording and was wondering if you have a video for creating drum tracks using Studio One stock loops. Yes, recording in Studio One Artist Made Easy. I do the drum track with drum loops that come with Studio One. So that would be, if you're new to DAW recording and you have Studio One, go get Recording in Studio One Artist Made Easy on homerecordingmadeeasy.com. It's right there.
Yep.
And that'll take you through it, among other things, but that's one thing that's definitely in there. Let's see. Okay, you guys are all chatting back and forth. Okay. Mick Kiddo. I've seen info on Noise Ash Vocal Finalizer. Seems like it's an all-in-one unit. Your thoughts, my friend? I have never heard of it and I've never used it, so I don't know. Noise Ash, that's a plugin company, I guess. I don't know. I've never used it. Can you demo it? Maybe you can demo it and you could check it out and let us know. Let's see. Thanks a bunch. If you had to use a virtual drums and your choices were between SSD5 Slate, Addictive Drums 2, or SD3, which would you choose for the best sounds? They're all going to be equal, to be honest. It's all horses for courses. If I had to choose one, the only reason why I would choose Slate SD5 is because I have Slate SD4 and I'm familiar with the way it works. And all the expansion packs that I bought for SD4 would work with SD5. Superior Drummer is fantastic as well. I have Easy Drummer, which I like. Superior Drummer is even better. Well, let me say this. If you were using it to write songs and drums, drum song structure, I don't know if that's the right word. But Superior Drummer and Easy Drummer are great for that because they have all the grooves and you could just drop them on a timeline and build your drum tracks.
Yep.
That you can do that with Slate and Addictive Drums. You can drag the MIDI into Studio One and do it. But what I like about with Easy Drummer and with Superior Drummer, if you're not a drummer, is they have all the parts of the songs already laid out for you and what would be appropriately played for a certain style of music. So if, for example,
Yep.
if you're playing a rock tune and 4/4 at 100 beats a minute, they're going to have a bunch of intro grooves that would be typical for what a real drummer would really play. The fills, the transitions, to make it sound more human, because it is what a real drummer would play, as opposed to when you program MIDI drums from scratch, although it can be done and it takes a lot longer. But if you're not a drummer, a lot of people, they put all these complex things in there because you can, and it sounds really cool, but in the context of a song, it doesn't sound like what a real drummer would play. It's usually way overplayed. And so if you want something quick for building songs, I think either Superior Drummer or Easy Drummer would be the right choice. But for overall sound, I would think I kind of imagine they would be similar, right, John? I mean,
pretty much.
They're not going to need, none of them are going to be bad. I mean,
no. I mean, none of that choice there. If you're talking about sound, it comes down to which GUI you find the easiest to navigate, to be honest, and which workflow suits you better. Because sound-wise, they're going to be largely identical. Because the quality of drum sampling these days is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it's not just the quality of the sampling and how good they sound, it's how well produced they are as well. So you end up with something that sounds good, that's not overcompressed, and is, not had all of the goodness EQ'd out of it. Like, years ago, drum samples, the sampling technology was there, but in order to make the file sizes smaller, you had to compress them. You had to EQ all the goodness out of them. And so you ended up with a whole bunch of thin sounding drums.
Yeah.
And it's not because the technology wasn't there sampling wise, it's because file sharing wasn't up to snuff at that point. Now file sharing is really, really up to snuff. So that's totally a thing of the past. So now, you can very easily, Loop Loft has got a bajillion drum loops that you can purchase for not a ton of money.
Right.
And you get a top line drummer like Omar Hakim or Matt Chamberlain or other great session drummers that Bernard Purdy, I think, has done a Loop Loft pack. And you can just go and you can essentially have, Bernard Purdy, who has recorded on, at this point, 1,500, if not more, records. And he's probably the most recorded drummer in the history of recorded music. And you could, for very little money, have him perform on your song.
Yeah.
And, and that's like the loop way, if you want to do it the loop way. But, if you want to go down the route of Superior Drummer and all of that, it's a case of which you find easiest to navigate, really, because the quality of the sounds is just outstanding.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think you can go wrong with any of those choices. Like I said, the only advantage to like Superior Drummer would be the fact that it's really more for song creation, or not more for, it's got that piece in there, which is helpful if you're not a drummer and you want to build drum tracks very quickly. That I find to be very helpful. So
yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, but as far as sound quality, I think Johnny's right. You could choose any one of them and they're going to sound fantastic. You'd be surprised how many country pop records that are on the radio that are not real drums. You'd be surprised by how many.
And they get harder and harder to spot. That's the crazy thing.
You almost can't spot them anymore.
Yeah. My ear is very, very highly trained of 40 years of over 40 years of drumming, and recording drums for 30 years. So I've got a pretty highly tuned ear for what's real, what isn't. And nowadays I'm just like, if somebody says, I'll offer you $50 to pass this blind test, and I'll be like, no, keep your $50.
Yeah, it would be hard to tell. It would be. David S.J. says the Slate Trigger 2 drum exchanger as compared. Oh, okay. I don't think Slate Trigger 2 is called. I don't know it is called the drum exchanger. So you're asking for Slate Trigger 2 versus This Plug-in Alliance drum exchanger from the SPL. I have no idea because I don't use the one from Plug-in Alliance, but I do use Trigger 2 all the time, and we'll use it in the next live mixing series, and I think it's great. Is the other one better? Maybe. I don't know. Again, those are just plugins that allow you to bring in wave samples, highly recorded samples to replace the drums. So it's not really the plugin itself that really matters. It's the quality of the samples that come with it. And as we just said, if it's Plug-in Alliance, I got to think it's going to be really good samples.
Yep.
And I would just make sure that you can find, and I would imagine they all do this, but Trigger 2 allows you to import your own samples in, so you don't have to just use his samples. Although Steven Slate drum samples are some of the best I've ever heard. I don't know that I'm going to come up with a better snare sample than he is. You know, but if you had one and you know, or if you have this special drum or whatever, you could bring that wave file in and you can use it in the Slate Trigger 2 interface. But I've got to imagine you could do that with Plug-in Alliance, this one as well. But I haven't tried that one. But I always tell people you should have a drum replacement, and that's what I call it, a drum replacement plugin, whether it's Trigger, whether it's Drumagog, whether it's Addicted, whatever. You ought to have one. You don't use it all the time, but you're going to find out in Live Mixing Series Volume 8 how valuable it is going to become, because it's a huge difference between, you know, doing a live performance and not blending in samples. It's very difficult to get a very good drum sound live unless it's a you know, like a professional touring act where they bring in mobile rigs and they're going to record it. The average band that plays in a club, the drums are usually the weakest sounding instrument in the band because and again, for obvious reasons, I think the drums themselves are probably not very high quality, because what drummer wants to bring out his $3,000 master recording set into some bar and have some guy drop his beer all over it or bang it up in and out of the trailer? So the shells are usually crap. They come in from the hot or the cold from their car. They bring them on stage, and in 20 minutes they're playing, and the drums never get a chance to acclimate to the area. A lot of drummers at the club level, especially weekend warriors, sad to say, don't know how to tune their drums. And usually the heads look like they've been through some kind of war. They look like they haven't been changed in 20 years. And again, if it's just a grab and go drum kit and you're just bashing on it and you're just there to play and have fun, you don't care if, you know, the drummer pukes on it or whatever. It's just, you don't care. It's just your nice kit's at home. That's great until you go to record that kit live for a live recording. And then it sounds like crap. And the live sound engineer that's at the gig that night, he or she is just throwing up a couple of mics, getting it to sound decent in the room. They're not worried about what it's going to sound like on the tape later. And so you battle a lot. It's the hardest instrument to make sound good when you're mixing, especially with a live recording. And that's where samples will tremendously help you.
Yeah, they are a lifesaver in that situation.
Right. And if you want a whole course on mixing drums, I have a course called Mixing Drums Made Easy.
Yes, he does.
And in that course, I do a studio kit and a live concert kit and show you the differences, and we use Slate Trigger and all of that. But we're going to do that with the Fat Hat sessions. We're going to, because I know I've already listened to it and I know we're going to replace the drums. And that's okay. It's okay. Drummer's a great drummer. But the drums are hard to record live. They just are. Unless you're, like I said, like, you know, a big touring act and you bring in the right equipment and people to really record that live. Yeah. You know, an average weekend working band isn't doing that. They don't have the budget for that. They're lucky if they can get back and forth to the gig and get paid. So they get what they get. And that's, you know, that's where samples will help you. So we're going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, most bands these days, you go and you play your gig and you blow your gig money in McDonald's on the way home.
Yeah, pretty much. That's
especially if you're playing jazz. You know,
you're lucky if you get a hot meal if you're playing jazz, right?
Yeah, you're lucky if you get a Happy Meal at McDonald's. You know.
Let's see. Mick Kiddo says, let's say you want to totally create your own drum samples, like recording a song that has a specific drum parts, not using patterns. Easy Drummer has this capability. He's asking, does Easy Drummer have this capability? If you want to create your own drum samples, so you want to create your own specific parts to maybe use for later? Well, you can't to my knowledge, again, I don't know. You'd have to look. I don't believe you can record a drum kit into Easy Drummer.
Not that I know of.
But what you can do, can you record your own patterns and use them later in Easy Drummer?
I don't know.
I don't think so. But then again, don't hold me to that. That would be a question. Maybe you go to a Facebook group of Superior Drummer, Easy Drummer, and ask someone that question. I don't know. So
Jimmy Farmer here says you actually can use Easy Drummer to record bespoke parts. It is not easy, but it can be done.
Okay, great. Yeah, I don't know how to do that, but if it can be done, then that would be the answer. Yeah.
He then says, I've only ever used Easy Drummer in Pro Tools, and the experience is not good.
In Pro Tools. Well, that's probably a Pro Tools thing.
Yeah, I would think,
thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Most of those kind of things are. But.
Yeah. I've used Easy Drummer for a lot of years, and I've always found it easy. And with Studio One, it worked okay for me. And I think I used it in Cubase, too, when I was a Cubase user. And I never had any problems with it, personally. So, but again, it's been, Easy Drummer 2 and then Superior Drummer came out, and then there's other programs that have come since then, and I haven't used them in a while. I would imagine the newer ones may be a little bit more robust, and maybe they worked out some of any bugs they might have had. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. Malcolm says fast food on the way home from the gig. Good times. Yep. You spend all your money. The way I look at gigs these days, and again, I don't play to make money. I play for fun. Is if I could go and it doesn't cost me money, that's a home run for me. That's a win, Yep. If I could get out of there and that doesn't cost me anything, that would be great. If I can go and come out even, I'm okay. That usually doesn't happen though, but it's still fun.
No.
Jimmy says, I use Logic myself, and Logic's built-in drummer is pretty darn good in my opinion. Oh yeah, I've seen it. I've never used it. I have Logic. I don't really use it much, but yeah, they have a built-in drummer in there, and yeah, I'm sure. Again, I'm sure the drum sounds are more than passable. That if you got it built into Logic, why use something else? Let's see. Ken. Hey, Ken, what's going on? Johnny Lipsham Studios. Can you buy a Happy Metal McDonald's with exposure? That's what most bars are offering musicians nowadays.
Yeah, a Happy Meal at McDonald's is worth about 20 exposures, I think.
Yeah. That's funny. Okay, what other questions you guys got? We got 38 people still here. We've been on here just about an hour, which is great. Trying to think of what else is going on. I think I've told you everything that I'm doing, at least for now. Let's see. Yeah, live mixing series volume 8. We'll start that soon.
That's going to be really cool, man.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be great.
Yeah, Rick's band's a good band. They're a great band, actually. And they're a lot of fun. And you can find some YouTube videos. They don't do a lot of YouTube videos, but you can see, they have shots of them playing live, and they seem like a real fun. I mean, they have a full, not a full, but they have a horn section, keyboards, guitar, bass, drums, obviously, singers, background singers. I mean, they got a pretty full thing going on there. It's not just a 3-piece. I mean, it's a full band.
Yeah, they are pretty much like my band was, maybe 10 years ago. 10,
yeah, you had like a 15-piece band or something, right? That you were doing at one point in your life?
Yeah, I ran a 15-piece band from 1998 through until just 2 years ago. But it downsized after 2008. I had to lose my backing vocalists. Couldn't afford to keep them anymore. And then venues just basically the venues that we were playing, they're just basically just like, hey, you know what? We've just had this economic downturn. We don't really have much money for paying a 15-piece band anymore. So my 15-piece band went down to 6, and we worked as a 6-piece for about 5 years, and then that went down to 3. Just again because venues are just like, we don't have the right entertainment license anymore because we can't afford to keep that up. So you can only have 3 people here. So and I played the same charts as we did for the 15-piece band as for the trio. And I supplemented with, a laptop and
tracks
and backing tracks
That's
to supplement what we did. Horn arrangements. You can download horn arrangements for tunes like
Yep.
we did Stevie Wonder's Sujuk and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the horns on there are great, and you just sync it to what you're doing. You have a click track, and your drummer runs off of that, and it's great. It works really well. But now I don't have the band anymore after 22 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Using tracks today is a popular thing. I didn't realize how popular. I always was of the opinion, it's kind of cheating and this, that, and the other thing, but it really isn't. I mean, it's not. It's not cheating. If where it becomes cheating is if people that are on the stage singing or pretending to sing or pretending to play instruments, that's different than accompanying. You know what I mean? So if whatever you're doing on stage with your band, if they're playing their real instruments and that's their real voice singing, and you just have tracks in reinforcing what you can't have on stage with you, so that's perfectly legit. I found, because this is the first time I've ever played in a live situation with tracks, two things I found. One, what I like is that it opened up our little trio to much more musical possibilities that we couldn't do before. Because if no one in the band played keyboards, I couldn't play anything that had a piano that was prominent in the song. Couldn't do it. So now you could do so many more things. It makes the sound so much bigger and livelier, which I like. And it also opened up a lot more different types of venues we can play, because we could play much bigger selection of music.
Yep.
So that was the good side. What I didn't realize, which took about a month for us to really get used to, with playing with tracks, when you're playing to a click, not that not playing to a click is hard, but when you're locked into tracks, you're locked into an arrangement. And so you really have to know the material,
You have to know your chart. Yeah,
you
totally.
Gotta know.
It's like playing with a big band. You have to know your chart.
Yeah, right. If you're playing with a big band where you have real musicians that really know what they're doing, you have to really know what you're doing. You just can't, you can't afford to have a train, because the tracks don't stop.
No.
And at first that was a little getting used to. But I found that it for me, it felt like it made me a better guitar player for sure. Mm-hmm. It keeps me a lot more on my toes to know what's coming and to know the songs and to really know the songs, which is which is good. And then being able to play, and then because we play the tracks in a click, we use in-ear monitors, which I had never done before live. And now that I use them, boy, I wish I would have done that all those years.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, totally.
It always was intimidating. It's a big system, and how do you get it all to work? And it's just like anything, at first you go, oh, this is a lot more involved. I'm not used to it. But once we did it, especially my singer, and then even for me who sings background vocals, what a difference it makes for singers. What a difference when you're playing live and you're just depending on a floor monitor, and half the time you can't hear yourself. And if you can't hear yourself, boy, what a nightmare that can be. And what I loved about in-ears, and what I tell people, if I ever played, and I don't think I will, play in a big rock band again, but if I did, I would never play without in-ears again. Never, ever. Because the mix that you hear in your studio is the same mix that's no matter where you play, because it's so consistent. That was the other thing, when you play live in rooms, the room always sounds different. If you rehearse in a space and you guys get used to the way you sound together in that space, and you go put that band in another space, it sounds totally different. Totally different, right? But when you're playing with in-ears, it's always the same. Your perspective is always the same. And I love that about it. So I've learned a lot about, setting all that stuff up. And now and it's all patched through the Studio Live mixer. And that mixer is the greatest thing in the world for doing all that stuff.
Definitely.
Makes it so unbelievably simple.
Have you got an ear mix, Dave?
Huh?
Have you got
you know what we use is, the way we do it, because it's acoustic, so we're all sitting and playing, is I have the Studio Live right next to me, and so I can just hit the flex mix, one of the mix buttons, and I have the faders right there to give everybody the mix. I don't need to, and we pretty much we set it. Now that it's set, every rehearsal, it's rare that I ever have to change anybody's in-ear mix.
Yeah.
Because they have the wireless body pack. So that sometimes someone will want a little louder, and they'll just turn it up on their body pack. But we don't. And because we're only running, the backing tracks are only coming out as a stereo pair into the Studio Live. I have it stemmed out in Ableton, but I don't have it stemmed out on the boards. I just figured I didn't want to have more faders to manage. And so on the Studio Live, there's only really 9 tracks being used. There's a guitar, 3 vocals, a bass, stereo left and right for the backing tracks, and then a click on a separate fader. And a Q track on a separate fader. So there's 10 faders being used. And so it's pretty much set, and it always stays that way. So I didn't find the need to have that. I've seen it. I've looked into it, and I said, well, unless people are constantly wanting to fiddle with their own mix.
Yeah.
But the Studio Live makes it so much easier because, we use the flex mixes, right? So, and we have 3 of us, and we each have stereo mixes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You just hit the button. What do you want? A little more of this, a little more of this. And what I found was after about the second rehearsal, never did the other 2 ever say to me, I can't hear something in my ears. Never.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've never had to change them. So I guess there's no reason to have that little, it's just another piece of gear I would need to add that I really don't need. But I've seen it and it looks really cool. I think that would be very cool for the studio.
Yeah.
Different musicians coming in and out and tracking, and they just want to, you control your own mix, So I think that would be cool for that.
We've just got them for our church actually, because, it makes sound checking every Sunday morning, an absolute breeze, because you can recall your own mix and then you can tweak it from there, because the guys that are on the consoles change every week, so you've always got somebody different, and you've always got somebody that knows more than or less than the last person the previous week. So because I know the Studio Live mixer, I've gone and saved everybody's mixes. Mm-hmm. And you can call them up by name, so it's just a case of you just call them up by name and there they are. And you can do all of that using the SD card virtual mix sound check thing, right. And then you just blast them through their in-ears, and it takes 10 minutes to do sound check instead of 40 minutes, which is what it used to take every Sunday morning.
Right.
It's totally. I mean, obviously now it doesn't, because, church can't meet in the building, so we're not using it anymore. But
right. Yeah. For now, no one can go to church. They all got to stay home. So
yeah, so we live stream everything now, and so I've set up the Studio Live mixer to go straight into OBS now. So
yeah, that's great. Malcolm says, I'm cracking open all the mixing lessons that I've left untouched. It's awesome. Oh, good, man. Good. Yeah, you may as well get this is the time to do it. Get to those courses that you haven't been able to get to. PM Barrett says, Dave, have you used the mastering suite in TR5? I imagine that means T-Rax. And if so, what are your thoughts on it? I haven't yet. I have the T-Rax plugins. I have the bundle. I'm going to do plugin reviews on them. I just have to get to them. I haven't even used them yet, but a couple of the plugins I have used, not that one, not the mastering stuff. And so far I've liked what I've heard. But I have not dived down deep into that. Probably next month, not in, what are we going in? We're in April, right? We're in April,
yes, we are.
Probably, if not May, June's content at mixingmadeeasy.net, the T-Rax plugins will be featured. But I'll get to it by then. But I haven't used it yet. But I know they make really good stuff. At least what I've heard so far, I really do like. Let's see. What is the fundamental frequency for a bass to cut through the rock, a rock mix? Somewhere around 80, 100, 110. It's in that ballpark. It really depends on the bass, how it was recorded. Was it an amp? Is it direct? Is it a 5-string? Is it a 4-string? How was it EQ'd? But it's in that ballpark. And typically what I would say too is wherever don't boost around that. A lot of people think it's down in that 60 hertz range.
No,
it is, but it's not to cut through a rock mix. You're going to get in the way of the kick drum. Stay around that 100 to 120 ish. And if you want to hear more of the fingers, go up to about 700 to 1K, and that will get you to poke through. Just stay out of that low end kick drum area, because then it'll get really muddy. Mike says, hey Mike, what's up? Since I really can't afford subscriptions right now, I'm going back to starting at the beginning of Mixing Made Easy courses. Cool. Yeah, I mean, watch them over and over. I mean, there's a ton of content there. That's a great idea. Let's see. Deer Creek Audio. Hey, Deer Creek, what's up? Most worship tracks announce that the upcoming sections of WTH the Click.
With the click.
Oh, with. I can't read. Oh, because he made it capital. I couldn't see it. It ain't worship, though. It's a performance.
Yeah, I get that.
Oh, I
I
see
get
what
that.
I understand. Sorry about that. I misunderstood what you were trying to say.
Yeah,
Oh,
I get that. And yeah, it's annoying,
yeah.
which is why we don't use them. We prefer to,
Paul says, "What is your take on mix and or mastering your own music? I just watched a video where the presenter said basically you shouldn't." Well, that really depends. I mean, Johnny and I probably have. Well, Johnny has. I'm sure Johnny will have a different opinion. I don't know. Um, it really depends, Paul. Where you're at, what you want to do with your music. So if you are, just a weekend warrior guy making some stuff that you want to do to share with your bandmates, maybe you're trying to get your band some local gigs, put up on your website. You're making it for more, for yourself and for you're not trying to be a signed artist to a record label. Let's put it that way. You're not a pro level pro touring musician. You're an average Joe, just like us. Then I don't think there's anything wrong with mixing and mastering your own music if you have the time to learn the craft. What I find is a lot of people that want to, a lot of people, they buy my courses because they want to learn how to do it. And then they find that, not that they can't, because it is a taught skill. What they find is they're a beginner and they don't have the time to put in. And they would rather, once they get into it and they start to learn what's really involved, wow, this is a lot of work. I got to focus on making my music. And so ultimately they hire me to mix and master their stuff, or or they'll hire an engineer to do that for them if their budget allows it. So I think it's okay to do it if you want to. If you really want to learn it, if you want it to sound it's great, it's best, you got to really take the time to learn the craft. And just like learning your instrument or learning how to be a good songwriter, you have to learn how to mix. And the only way you learn how to mix is by mixing and mixing and mixing and mixing and mixing and training and training and training and training. And so there's nothing wrong with that. And a lot of people do it. Where I think you shouldn't do it is, one, you don't have the time or the desire or the passion or the patience to learn how to do it yourself. Two, you're on a national level, you're on a sign level, or if you were at that level anyway, they wouldn't let you mix your own music anyway. You'd be in a studio with a producer and an engineer and everything else. But if you're at that kind of a level, or if you're really trying to be a commercial success, whatever that means in today's environment, then I would say, and you have the money, then I would say you may want to hire someone to do that work for a couple of reasons. One, because if this is not what you do for a living, and that's what they do for a living, at least immediately you're going to get better results from somebody else.
Yep.
Two, as the musician, you sometimes, or a lot of times, or you're too close to the music and you can't be as objective about certain elements of whether it's arrangement, songwriting, mixing, sound, whatever. And it's good to have a second set of ears and eyes that really has no emotional connection to your project at all. And so they could be very objective, and therefore you can get a more, you could get better results that way. And I think that's where that would help. But to say you should never mix and master your own stuff, I don't believe that's true. It really just depends on your situation and your budget too.
Yeah.
And here's another thing. And then Johnny, I want to let you go on for 5 minutes and talk about what you think, because I'd like to hear it. What I find is people not only do they realize what it takes to mix stuff to make it sound professional, but what it costs to have someone that really knows what they're doing do it for them. I can't tell you how many people ask me to mix their records, and when I tell them what their rates are, they'll tell me it's 2 or 3 times what their budget is. I said, you are not going to find a credible professional that could do much better of a job than you can do on your own at $50 a song to mix a full song, or $75 a song, or $100 a song.
Yeah.
The professional engineers or people that know how to mix records don't work for that kind of money. Now, what they charge it all depends. There's a lot of variables there, but don't expect to get professional results if you're not willing to pay professional prices. Yep. That does not mean that if you pay professional prices, you're going to get the greatest mix. No, you got to do your research, and you got to listen to their work and see, do your research. But if somebody, and the other thing I tell people too is that if you try to hire a mix engineer to mix a song and they say they can start right away, that would be a red flag for me. Again, I'm using very general statements here. That means they're probably not very busy, and there's probably a reason for that.
Yeah.
People that mix records, that mix lots of records, are always booked.
Yeah.
They are. But again, a lot of it depends on your budget yourself. If you have an album full of CDs or excuse me, an album full of material, an EP full of material, 5 to 7 songs, you know, and it's, let's say, basic pop rock, you know, less than 50 tracks a tune. You don't need to edit and quantize and the daylights out of it, that it's recorded well, and you're looking for someone to just mix the record, you know, you're probably looking at least a few grand. That's where it starts. It can go anywhere from, say, $2,500 to, say, $6,000. If you want it done professionally. If you don't have that kind of budget, then I would say don't waste your money and give someone $50 or $75 or $100 to mix your song. You're probably not going to get a great result, and you could probably do better yourself.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I know if the tracks are recorded well, and let's start with the tracks are recorded decently to start, you could take one of my course, Johnny's course, and a few courses in a few months, you can mix as well as someone that's charging $100 a song.
Yeah.
Right, John?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
You know, and you say, well, why do people charge? How could someone charge $500-$600 a song? Well, it's supply and demand. You know, if they've been doing it a while and they're good and the people want them to mix their records, the price goes up.
Yep.
So that's my opinion. What's your thoughts, John, on that topic?
I'd say I largely agree with you. I think anytime anybody says you should not do X in our industry or in our craft, I think that's maybe not necessarily wisdom. I think you can certainly mix and master your own music. There is a caveat to this, and the caveat is that, yes, obviously, because it's your music, you may possibly be less than objective about that process, how you mix and how you master it. Mm-hmm. And so you may not necessarily make objective decisions throughout the mixing and mastering process. However, there are ways around that. And this is what I do, because I mix and master my own stuff all the time. And it's not because I couldn't afford to go and hire Dave to do it. It's just, Dave's a busy guy, and I would love him to mix my records, but he's a really busy guy. And, I want to get my records out there pretty sharpish. So, I don't necessarily have the time to wait around for that. So, rather than saying, hey, Dave, could you mix my record? And I don't know how your schedule is and all of that, and have to go through all of that. So I do mix and master my own stuff, but I only mix and master my own stuff because I can, because I know how to.
That's the difference.
Because I've spent over 20 years doing it. So, I know how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, if it's not something you've ever done before, and you're thinking about maybe my next project that I do, maybe my next record that I make in my home studio, maybe I will have a shot at mixing and mastering my own stuff, I would encourage you to do so. I would say definitely go do it. Give it a go. Give it a shot. See what comes out. But I would say at the same time, have somebody else do a mix and a master of your record as well. And then you can compare your result against the other guy's result.
Right. You might find you like yours better, or maybe not, or you'll learn something. You'll get some ideas that you can put into your next mix, whatever.
You can. It's an opportunity to learn a new craft. It's an opportunity to learn something else. It depends upon like Dave said, it depends upon what your aims and objectives are with your music. If your aims and objectives of your music is to sell records, and this is something that you want as a large bulk of your income and your revenue stream, it's one of your revenue streams, then I would suggest that the best thing to do is hire somebody like Dave to do it, or me.
Yeah, hire someone that could do it better than you can.
Yeah.
If that's your goal, to make money and it's a business for you, then part of your business expense is someone you got to be able to present the best product possible.
Yeah, and be prepared to spend a good lot of money, because if you invest a good lot of money and you get a good result out of that investment, then think about the profit at the end of the day that you'll make if you promote the record well.
Right. The problem with this craft is, it's good and bad, right? The greatest thing about the technology and the time that we live in, there's no better time to be a musician and work at home, and the technology has never been this good. And you can record and mix and master your own record for pennies on the dollar to what you could do 25 years ago.
Yeah.
The problem with all of that is anyone that has a computer today can call themselves an engineer, and anyone that has, you know what I mean? And so there's a lot of riffraff out there, people that don't know what they're doing and don't know what they're talking about, and they charge people money, and sometimes you get a bad experience. So I would tell you, do your research if you're going to hire somebody. But again, I think we've answered it. I mean, it all really depends on what your goals are. People say that you shouldn't, and that depends. If you're in a position where you don't have the time or the effort or the desire or the knowledge to do it, then you shouldn't mix your own stuff. But a lot of people, they want to create music for themselves, and it's more of a labor of love.
Yeah.
And financially, they can't spend $5,000 to have someone mix their record for them.
Yeah.
So
in which case, just go ahead and do it and get your music out there.
Yeah, because you can do it yourself to some degree. So I hopefully that answers your question to some degree. Woodby says, Dave, I love the course I bought from you. Oh, great, man. Oh, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, I'm just saying, what are you talking about? But now I know. Have you ever considered promoting your courses, offering one free roll of toilet paper? No, but that's a good idea. For every course you buy, well, I run out of toilet paper pretty soon. I mean, I have plenty of toilet paper, don't get me wrong, but I don't know if
you'd have to buy like the entire town's supply of toilet paper.
Well, right, you still can't go into our local store here and get a roll of toilet paper, because every time I go in there now, I don't need toilet paper, but I go down to look because I just get, I don't know, I get a kick out of it. I want to see. And 3 weeks in, you can't buy toilet paper still.
Go on a toilet paper hunt. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I could do that, but that would put me in a bad position.
And of course, there are certain publications that could substitute. So,
Yeah, right. That's true. Deer Creek says, hey, let's see. Okay, they're talking back and forth. Great. Let's see. Oops. I lost my place here. Give me a second.
David SJ says, and he's talking to both of us, Dave. He says, I just had a song I mixed get released as a music video.
Awesome.
I have name credit in it as well. Thanks to both of you for everything you taught me.
Oh, you're very welcome.
That's really cool. That's so encouraging. I mean, that's I'm sure I can speak for Dave here that, this is the kind of stuff that it just makes what we do completely worthwhile. If we never earned a penny from it, when people say that to us, that's priceless.
Yeah, it really is. No, I'm glad we're adding value to you, and that's the whole object. Let's see. Okay. I just want to make sure I don't miss any of your questions, guys. I'm trying. Let's see. Luke Paul was Sonic's. Okay, they're talking back and forth. I don't want to get involved in that. Let's see. Okay, you guys are going at it. Good. Okay, Jimmy says, I don't know who Justin is. I guess you guys are chatting about it. I don't know.
It's Justin from Sonic Scoop.
Who's that?
He's a mix engineer and producer out of Sonic Scoop Studios, and he's actually really good. He kind of does what we do. He has a tutorial YouTube channel.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And they do product reviews and all sorts of stuff as well. He's actually really good. He's really thorough.
Excellent. Nice. Okay. Jimmy says, I do say if you have the time, I do. But okay. Oops. Okay. Woodby says, make sure if I miss anything, guys, just ask it again.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Wisby says, Dave, when I listen to your mixes on YouTube, they are so well produced and they sound great. Oh, thank you. I'll listen to other YouTube trainers and they are okay, but yours are a step up. Oh, I appreciate that, man. Thanks. Most of it's funny. It's because I had someone just say the exact opposite to me, maybe a week or so ago.
Oh no.
They were just, it was actually an ex member of mixingmadeeasy.net because he decided he wanted to quit, which is fine. When I do YouTube videos or training tutorials or any of my courses, my goal, even though most of them are mixing courses these days, is not to provide you with my final mix as the best mix that I can possibly do. That's not what I'm trying to achieve. I'm trying to teach you a concept or a technique that you're going to take hopefully and put into your workflow, or decide you don't like that concept and technique and not use that, because I like to say that a lot of my training is not only know what to do, but what you like, but what you don't like. Figure out what you don't like, because we all have different styles, and so become unique. And so in all of that, my mix sometimes, or the stuff that I put, it's maybe 80% there. It's not done, but I never claim it to be done. I claim it to say, look, I'm trying to teach you a very specific thing, and I'm focused on that specific task. I'm not thinking about, well, I'm going to release this to a client. And sometimes I'll get people that'll say what they want me to give them, not only the final mix, but they want to copy everything that I did down to the nano thing. And I said, but you're not learning anything that way. If you just copy what I'm doing or what Jonny's doing, it's okay to copy to start with. But ultimately, you want to learn the concept and the technique. It's what's the old saying about, you could teach, you don't want to, you could give someone fish, or you could teach them how to fish, or you give them a fish, they only eat for a day. And if you teach them how to fish, they'll never go hungry, or whatever that saying is. Right. And so I appreciate that's what you say, but yeah, when I put stuff on YouTube, sometimes the mixes aren't, and again, I'm in training mode. I'm not thinking about final product and the way it sounds mode, so I appreciate that you like the way they sound. I don't try to outdo anything that I've done before. I just try to teach, and however it comes out, it comes out. But I appreciate you saying that. Let's see. Richard says, okay, guys, the kids require some attention before putting them to bed. Thanks. I'll see you later. Okay. See you, Richard. Take care.
Here's Rich.
Ken, both Dave and Jonny have thank you credits on my EP. Oh, that's cool, man. Same thing here. I learned a lot from you both. Hey, that's awesome, man. Thank you.
That's very cool.
So if you sell 1 million of them, do we get a point on each? What do we get if you sell 1 million CDs?
Royalties.
Let's see. Malcolm says, do you still find the Slate Digital Everything bundle worth the expense? I'm giving it a serious consideration. Absolutely. If you don't have third-party plugins, if you're looking for what's the best bang for my buck, the amount of good plugins you get in a bundle versus what you're going to pay, I still believe that bundle package for the price and the quality of all the plugins in there is probably the best deal going. There's other ones out there, I know, but I would tend to tell everyone, yes, that's a hell of a price for what you get. What do you think, Jonny?
Well, I did have the Slate Everything bundle, and I have just dismissed it, and I've switched over to the Plugin Alliance bundle instead.
Well, there you go. And they got great plugins too. So it's a matter of what you like. What is the cost of that one per month, John?
25, I think.
So it's a little bit more than the Slate. The Slate is 15 or something like that?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
But one of the things that the Plugin Alliance are doing is that when you've completed your 12 months.
Oh, yeah, you told me this. Yeah.
You get your $250 and you can go buy more plugins and
right.
Repeat.
Okay. Gotcha.
Rinse and repeat.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's a good deal.
Yes.
I don't have their bundle because I have the plugins that I like by them, and I don't, but who knows, maybe one day I will. So there you go. Linster says, hey Dave, how do you record stereo vocals? Why would you want to record vocals in stereo? That would be my first question. Usually it's mono unless it's something specific. Now, if you want to record them in stereo, like I've seen, again, this is rare, but I've seen people in the studio have 2 microphones and sing into 2 microphones, one on one track, one into the other. They blend them together. That could be considered stereo. I don't know if you had a single microphone like what we're doing here and you were recording this, there would be no reason to put it on a stereo track. You could, I'm thinking if you were trying to double up a vocal maybe and record one and then sing it again and put it on 2 separate tracks and pan them or something. You could do that. But typically, unless you have a very specific reason, typically vocals are recorded in mono, usually.
Yeah.
Right, John? Usually.
Yeah. The only time the only thing I do with my lead vocals as a singer is it's kind of standard practice. I'll sing a take through all the way through the song, and then I'll immediately hit record again, and I'll sing a second take, and I'll blend the 2 together. And you kind of do get a little bit of a fatter, fuller sounding vocals sometimes. And it might be that on a verse, I'll just have the one vocal track and then I'll bring in the double for the chorus. But that, yeah, I don't sing it into two mics at the same time.
Right.
You know, you're going to run into phase issues potentially if you do that.
Sure.
And all sorts of weird room nodal issues as well. You know, I think the only other time I've done stereo miking on a mono source is saxophone,
Okay.
where I've combined a dynamic with a condenser mic or a ribbon mic together, and you kind of have them side by side, so you're not getting any phase issues, and you're
Right.
combining the tone of the two mics
Right. Like a
to
blending,
create
thing.
to
Right.
create your overall saxophone sound. Like, you know, some dynamic mics just really respond beautifully to something like a tenor sax, and then you've got condenser mics that will just give you, you know, a really nice frequency response as well. And you just blend the two different sources together, and it can sound really, really great.
Yeah. Yep. So there you go. So there's a couple of opinions for you. Let's see. Jimmy says, "This is what I like about it, David. You're teaching us how to do it, and it's incumbent it's incumbent on us to take it and run with it." Yeah. No, that's my goal. That's my goal.
Yep.
And for some people don't like that kind of teaching, and if you don't, then I tell you quit, stop your membership. That's okay. No hard feelings. Somewhere else to go. You know, if you don't like that kind of teaching, then I'm not the guy for you. That's simple as that, and it's okay. And I'm not offended by it. Let's see. Where else do we go?
Ken says, so far I've earned $12.10. You will both get your nickels next month.
All right. Nice. Okay. We'll take it. Great video tonight, guys. Thanks, man. Johnny or Dave, do you either of you use room correction software? Any thoughts on SonarWorks 4? Do you use that?
No. It does do a great job.
Yep.
I know people that do use it.
Yep.
And it really does do a fantastic job. But I personally don't use it. To be honest, I have really cheap ass foam up on my walls right now because we're in a rental property. But you know, now that I'm I'm running my business and working a second full-time job as well, you know, we're in a better financial position. We can actually purchase a house, and then I can really go to town on acoustically treating the room.
You're doing it the way you want to do it, yeah.
I'm doing it the way I want to do it. At the moment, I've got enough up on the walls to kind of tame the worst aspects of the room, and then the rest I can kind of deal with by, a combination of my experience and then what a good record sounds like in my room.
Right.
Which I think that's the biggest key to whether you use SonarWorks or anything, or whether you don't. The biggest key is, what does a great, well-mixed, well-produced record sound like in the room that you mix in the position where you mix?
Right.
And if it sound, and learn what that sounds like, and and try and get your work to kind of match that kind of sound.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. SonarWorks is great stuff. I don't use it personally, but I know it could do really well if you have room correction. It basically puts an EQ on your master bus. That's basically what it does.
Yeah.
A little more technical than that, but it corrects for what the room is problematic. It corrects for those problems in your room.
Yeah, if you've got null points, it's going to spot those, even if your ear is going to be compromised naturally, because everybody's ear is compromised by how the room sounds. A microphone is completely impartial, so it's going to correctly detect what the null points are, and what the if you've got cone filtering or phase issues in your room, and it will show where those are on a frequency graph, and then it'll spit out an EQ that will compensate for those. It's very, very cool, very clever.
Yeah, it's a great technology. It really is. Let's see. Mike says he just got the Plug-in Alliance SSL-E 4000. Oh, and the Neve channel strips for $50. They give out, he loves the vouchers that they give out. Yeah, they do give out lots of vouchers, and those are two great, really, really good channel strips. I have both of them.
They are light years ahead of the Waves channel strips.
Yeah, I would say so. Yep. Let's see. David SJ says Plug-in Alliance is great, but the Slate bundle gives you all the tools you'll need The PA bundle misses some stuff. Well, then that's why you can have both.
Yeah.
You know?
If you can afford to have both, have both.
Yeah. I mean, they're still very affordable. For the amount of plugins that you get, either one of those companies gives you great value, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Jimmy says, I got the Plugin Alliance subscription and he really enjoys their plugins. I got it for Christmas. My wife bought it for me when it was $100 off per year. Oh, awesome.
Wow.
Cool, man. Yeah, she bought it probably during the Black Friday. Yeah, buy it during that Thanksgiving to Christmas time frame. If you're going to buy plugins and that's the time to buy that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great. And then you get it for a year, you know? Let's see. And Jimmy says, daughter is demanding attention. Take care. All right, Jimmy. See you later, bro. Let's see. What acoustic treatment do you currently have? I ordered some myself in a similar situation. Oh, Johnny Lipsham. I think he's asking you. You said you got your own stuff that you made, don't you?
No, it's not mine. No,
okay.
There's a UK company that they make acoustic treatment, and they have lots of different packages. You know, you can buy £1,000 room kit, and then they've got their budget one, which is like £150, £200.
And it has all the stuff, the bass traps and stuff, and then you could put them around your room. Right.
It's got bass traps, and it's got foam 2-inch foam.
Yeah.
1 foot by 1 foot tiles, and that's what I've got dotted around here. And because it's a rental property, what I did was I stuck them to big pieces of card and hung them like
yeah. There you go, like a picture frame. Then you take it down, patch the hole, and you're good.
Exactly. And it's cheap, it's cheerful. I know that there's a lot of people out there that say don't use 2-inch foam, man, it doesn't do anything. Well, actually it does.
Yes, it does. It does if you use it for what it's made to be used for.
Yeah.
Of course it works.
If you think a 2-inch piece of foam is going to trap anything below 100 hertz, you're having a joke. It won't.
That's not what it's designed to do.
No, but you know, it will deal with a lot of the mid-range stuff that's in most,
right?
You know, average rectangular bedrooms like this one.
Right. And
has it dealt with every issue in this room? No. There are I think it's the guy that did Studio Rescue for Rode mics a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember that show. Yeah,
Francis Buckley. He basically says, and he says it regularly. He says there are some things in a room that you just can't get past because you know this is not a purpose-built room. This is the master bedroom of my house. Thanks to my wife. You know.
Right.
I mean, I think she's nuts letting me have the master bedroom, frankly.
Don't say that too loud. You'll find yourself in the second bedroom if you say that too loud. But yeah, and you're right. There's no, and if you wanna take the room out of the equation, just get yourself a good set of headphones, and then that solves that whole problem anyway.
Definitely.
But yeah, acoustic treatment. You should, if you're going to use monitors, you should have some.
Yeah.
And you got to learn, like John says, you got to learn your room. And you got to learn your speakers. You have to do that. There is no magic plugin that's going to fix all the problems. It'll help, like Sonar Works and stuff will help, but it's still not going to take the work that you need to do to understand what the music should sound like in your space. It's not.
Yeah.
And it's another.
Sorry, Dave.
No, it's a lot of trial and error. It's just like learning how to mix, like we talked about earlier. It's a lot of different music listened in that environment, right? Different styles and understanding, burning it into your memory. And just doing lots of mixes and trial and error, and eventually you'll figure out what it should sound like in that room.
Yeah, definitely.
With or without acoustic treatment, you know?
Yeah. Another thing to add to that is if you don't have a set of speakers at the moment, think carefully about what you get, because the worst thing you can do is get speakers that are too big for your room.
Too big of the woofers, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I have a friend who lives on this street. He's a guitar player, and he kind of like, you know, dabbles with production and mixing and stuff. And his room is like 8 foot by 9.5, and he has 10-inch speakers in his room. And I'm just like, dude, those are way too big. You know, what you need is like, you know, 5-inch speakers.
Right.
I mean, this is a sort of 11.5 by 10-ish room. 12, maybe 12.5 by 10. And these are 5-inch speakers. I had these 5-inch speakers in my box room that I had before I moved into here, and I can crank these a little bit louder now because I'm in a slightly bigger space. But 5 inches and up to about 8 inches is going to do most rooms.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Mine are 6. I think mine are 6, 5.25 or 6, and my room is 23 feet by 15.
Yeah.
And theirs are fine. I don't have any need to have to get 8-inch speakers or 10-inch speakers. I don't even use a subwoofer.
No, neither do I.
I really don't need to,
No.
So,
No, I mean, I did think a while back about getting the PreSonus Tembler 10-inch sub, but I don't need it.
It's a lot. I mean, you'd barely turn it on. You wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. I'd have it like running at like a milliwatt maybe.
Right, which it won't run efficient and it won't help. It'll hurt your setup more than it'll help you. If you don't have the room for a subwoofer, don't get one. And subwoofers are subwoofers are another one of those things that you don't get a really nice set of main speakers in the cheapest subwoofer you can find. Bad idea. Those subwoofers have to be matched to those main speakers from an efficiency standpoint. They have to be, or else it's not going to sound right. You're gonna find yourself tweaking the low end more than you ever needed to. Just so be careful with subwoofers. Jimmy's leaving. Hey Jimmy, take care. Would-be says, will this be a regular video? You mean like a regular show? Well, I mean, for the time being, we said we still have 37 people here. We've been on here almost 2 hours. So we said we would try to do one a week together, maybe if both of our schedule allows it, just because everyone's locked up at home and we'll do more than what we've maybe have normally done. So between us doing a kind of a co-host here together and answering questions and me doing live mixing series, that's twice a week. That's probably enough.
Yeah, you don't,
We're gonna try to do a regular, for a while anyway. We're gonna try to do this more. Let's just say more often. Maybe not regular, but certainly more often. More often.
More frequently. We'll pop up. We like doing these kind of shows together where we just field your questions. They're good fun.
Yeah, they are, and it's cool to hang out. So yeah, we're gonna do stuff a little more regular as long as we're all kind of cooped up, and sounds like it's gonna be like that for another month or 2 or 3 or whatever. Okay.
6, 7.
Yeah. Who knows? Ken Moss says Abbey Road Studios from Waves is a decent set of headphones is saving me right now. My monitors died and my room is not treated to begin with. Okay, great. So you have a good set of monitors and the Abbey Roads plugin. Oh yeah, the one the Abbey Road Studio. That's a decent. I mean, that's interesting plugin. Again, it's you got to experiment with it. I like it. I've used it a bunch.
Yeah.
It's an interesting plugin. Some people say it's bullshit and other people say it works. And, again, I used it. I use it as, I think I bought it for $25 or something. Cause I had when they first came out, if you own the Abbey Road collection, which I did, you got a really heavy discount on it. And I said, oh, this looks interesting. You can move your head and the sound moves, and it was a gimmick, and let me try it. And it does sound pretty good. What I like about it is in the plugin, you can cycle between 3 sets of monitors, which are vastly different sounding. And so that's helpful to some degree. And so it's just another way, it's just another reference point, to check your mix. It's not the thing you throw on the master bus and everything's going to sound great. It's not that. It's not. But it's a cool plugin, and I do enjoy using it.
I think the thing that you have to remember is that when we're talking about Abbey Road Studio, you're talking about somebody that's made impulse responses of each of their control rooms of the Studio 1, 2, and 3, and then mapped that into the plugin, and so it's going to sound like a very flat sounding space because those studios, that's exactly what they sound like. I've been to Abbey Road a few times when I lived in London. It was, not that far away from where I lived, so I could easily go there. And I know folk that work there. So it wasn't that hard for me to get in. And I did one film score that was recorded at Abbey Road. and I played upright bass on that. And does the plugin sound like Abbey Road? Yeah, it kind of does actually.
There you go. I've never been
You
there,
know,
so I couldn't tell you. So if you say it is, I believe you.
kind of does for the price point that it's at. It's
Well,
just like
that's 50
actually
bucks
that's
or
yeah,
$39 or whatever it was. I mean, it's not a lot. I mean, so, you know, again, I think it's a great way to check your mixes on another environment, another emulation or simulation of a different room. And that's always
yeah.
cool too, you know? Let's see. Griffin Guitar says, what is Waves? Waves is a plugin company. Okay, good. There we go. Awesome. All right, man. So we're almost 2 hours. We should probably wrap it up. I'm starving. I need to eat something. It's the middle of
I need to go to
John,
bed. It's
John
2
needs to
a.m.
go to bed. Still have 35 people, which is great. But we'll do another one of these. Maybe next week sometime when our schedules open up a little bit. We'll coordinate with each other and we'll do another one just to get back here because you guys turn up. You guys got a lot of great questions, and we love fielding your questions. So this is kind of cool. So we'll definitely do this again.
Yeah, if you still got questions that have kind of sprung out of the conversation that Dave and I have had tonight, drop either one of us an email.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's it, man. So thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We will see you very soon. And then we'll put this. I'll leave this on YouTube. This will be if you came in late. You can watch this on the replay. I'll leave. It'll stay up on YouTube. There was no music here where we're going to worry about copyright problems, so we'll leave it on YouTube and you guys can watch it. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Cheers, folks.